Duke Sullivan, the World Bigfoot Radio. He's been a really good friend to me, and he calls me a lot and checks on me. But yeah, I may do just a short 1-hour show with Duke and just explain how all this started. I've got a lot of little stories, nothing traumatic that I want to talk about. Just talk about being around them and them being around me. And I don't know why me, of all people.
Howdy, and welcome back to another episode of World Bigfoot Radio.
Yeah, boss sticking his head out of the bush. You get that t-shirt. If I ordered it, it's on the way.
I can hardly wait. I saw that on the email. Looks really awesome.
Yeah, but I was standing right at the edge of the bush, and they were there, and I knew they were there, and there was, I don't know how many, there was quite a few. But right in the center, right in front of me, and I'm going to guesstimate 25 feet. 25, 30 feet was boss, and Cleo was right next to him. But there was kind of like a hole in the bush, and I could see him moving around back there, but you couldn't see him in the camera. And the camera I was using back then, was that little pocket camera, and it takes horrible pictures. It's good inside, you know, just to take family photos with, but he leaned forward and put his face in that hole, and I pulled that camera up like that. and I started moving it around because I start hearing crunching, you know, I start hearing the bushes. So I'm trying to get everybody in the picture, and then when Boss leaned in, I kind of went up over him, and then I come down because I was trying to steady the camera. So I thought, well, if I do like this and come down, it'll be steady. And he's leaned out, and his face is right there, and there's a pole, one of those little round fence poles, right in front of his mouth, right here. But the rest of him, he just leaned up to that pole. And then I noticed something odd. He had something hanging on the side of his head. And at first I thought it was like a bird skull or a squirrel skull. And I got to looking at it. After I downloaded it, I cropped it out and I zoomed it in and I looked at it, and it kind of looks like some kind of ornament he picked up somewhere.
Huh.
But yeah, he had this ornament hanging on the side of his head.
Jeez.
But as I was taking his picture, when he leaned out and I got on his face, he did this low growl. And this growl is the type of growl, you know, it don't come at you like in your ear. It's like it's a low rumble, and it comes toward you on the ground. It's like the ground is rumbling. It starts that low. It's just low, guttural, and it comes toward you. And
Joyce, I got a question for you. You're not
okay.
to interrupt right in the middle of the climactic part here, but interesting parallel. Have you ever seen the video of the big gators in the water making a call, and the water dances off their back?
Yes.
That's the same thing you're talking about.
It travels. There's a low growl that they can do that travels, and it feels like it's on the ground. Like the ground is rumbling.
Like they're shaking the frickin' ground, just like these
Yes.
gators are making the water dance off their back because they're shaking everything around them.
Yeah. And when it hits you, you feel it. You know, it's like a vibration that comes towards you. And it scared me, and I jumped and I start walking backwards, and that's where I get the blurred picture. Because I'm walking backwards. But I'm trying to hold the camera on him. And I love the blurred picture. The blurry pictures, I love them because it's part of what they are. You know, to me, it's part of who they are. It's they can do that to the camera. You know,
You're one of the few researchers that's caught on to that if you aim the camera directly at them, they can blur it and you ain't going to see nothing. But if you catch them in the corner of the frame somewhere, you get a picture of them.
Yeah, it's a really, to me, they can affect the camera when they want to. It doesn't matter all the time whether you're pointed directly at them or not. There's one that I sent you a picture of where I'm in the little hammock of trees in my backyard. There's a little hammock of trees that runs down the middle of the backyard. And they had built a structure back there, and it was a big Y. It was stuck in the ground, and it come up, and then it had another limb that ran through it and was resting on a grapevine. And I was in there looking at it, and I moved that stick, and I broke it.
Oh!
The whole thing fell down, and I was like, dang it.
Oh, they're
And
going to be mad at me now. Uh-oh.
yeah, that's what I started apologizing. It fell down and I picked it up and I looked around and I said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to break that. I'm sorry. And I tried to stick it back down in the ground. It was just stuck down in the ground. And so I stuck it back down in the ground and I took a picture of it. And so my camera's still on and I'm walking and I'm looking, around me. And I walk up toward the front of that little hammock and there's an opening there to my right. And so I turned and I was going to go out that opening. And oh my God, as I turned and went to take a step, I looked up and there was, I don't know how tall he was because he was squatted down. He wasn't real big. I'm going to say maybe 6 foot. He would have been 6 foot. But he was squatted down and I thought he was going to tackle me. And he was right at the edge of the bush. I'm standing in the hammock and then there's a little bit of yard, maybe 30, 40 feet. And then there's the wood line. And he squatted and there's just a teeny little bush that comes up. It's just a little limb with a yopon with some leaves on it. And he's sitting there squatted down and I'm looking at him right in the eye. And I mean, I can see everything on this booger. I could see the pop marks in his face. I could see the hair sticking out. It wasn't on his chin. It was kind of sticking out underneath his chin. He was black. He was squatted down and he had his arms over his legs. And his hand, one hand wasn't touching the ground because it seemed to be further back on his leg. But the other hand, he had his knuckle on the ground. And we were just sitting there looking at each other. And I started to get nervous because I didn't know if he was going to come at me or not. And so I just kind of, turned and made sure that I got him in, with the camera because the camera was still going. And I didn't know what he was going to do, but the next thing he did was he just plopped down on his butt. And he just sat there. Just sat there, plopped down on his butt and just sat there. And I was like, okay, now would be a good time for me to leave.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
So I looked down and then I looked back to my left, kind of like looking for a opening to see if I had a clear way to go out that way. And I kind of looked back and I took one more look at him. And then I just turned around real slow and I walked out the other side. And I didn't look back. I don't know where he went or what he did. But yeah, don't ever break their structures.
They get angry about that. We know that. Yeah. Hey, now we're on the electronic subject here. There's a couple interesting things I'd like to bring up, and one is them messing with electronic stuff, running batteries, being able to turn things off, flat out being able to destroy electronic equipment, and not necessarily just by grabbing it and squishing it. I was watching a recent video from Steve over on How to Hunt, and he was complaining that he was having problems with his cameras, and they kept breaking. And they would turn off for no reason. And as soon as he started talking about that, I started laughing because I've heard that from several other researchers. And Blaine Tyler up there in Ontario is a good example, where he had one set up on a tripod and he was trying to film himself monologuing about it was over here and this happened and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And the camera kept turning off. And it had brand new batteries. It was fully charged. He'd go over and turn it on and he'd get like a sentence in and it would turn off again. Yep. This happened like 4 or 5 times. So I'm thinking about that as Steve's talking about how he's having problems with his camera, and he sets up and he starts monologuing and the camera goes off. Oh, you've got some really great evidence of some of the other things these guys can do. Do you want to tell everybody about the Frank Zapper video?
The Frank Zapper. They were in, and I always know when they're in. I know people say the woods go quiet, and sometimes it does. But sometimes when they come in, when they're close to the house, the birds here will just go nuts, especially the blue jays. And the blue jays were just going crazy one morning. And so I thought I need to go out there with my camera. So I turned my camera on, and my battery, it was like not quite, it was just a little over half charged. So I thought, well, I'll plug my battery in because I'm going to be out there for a while. So I plugged the battery in, and about, I don't know, 30 minutes later, the light turned green. It was fully charged. I put it back in my camera, and I went outside. And I sat up in the middle of the yard in the back, and I just started scanning. And yep, they're in there. I've got, I think I filmed 23 minutes was all I got out of that battery, and I can get over an hour on that battery normally. But yeah, I'm zooming toward the back, and I had seen a couple. There was a couple back there, and I seen one moving in the back, and I'm sitting there talking, and I talk to myself a lot when I'm filming because it calms me down.
We always thought it was narration, but okay.
No, you don't get to see those. There's a lot I don't post that y'all don't get to see. And I have spent a lot of time out there videoing and not got anything. I mean, it's not like I see them everywhere I go. I don't. Yeah. It's just certain days they're here, and then certain places where I know they're at. Yeah. And
well, just like Jerry Klein, he doesn't have a Sasquatch show up watching him fish every time he goes fishing.
Yeah. That was a good catch, by the way.
I know. You could tell he was just like so hard trying to be really calm. Hey guys, there's a Sasquatch over there watching me. I'm trying to get the camera on.
Yeah. But yeah, I was sitting there, and we're gonna have to get on little people too, and the little Harrys, because I saw there was a little Harry there, and he was holding a stick, and I panned past him, and I don't like them, the little things. They give me the willies. I have seen little people, and the shadow people. I've seen it all, actually. I've seen just about everything. But I made a comment. I was like, I haven't seen the puckwudgies in a while. And about that time, something caught my eye. I saw a movement. And so I go up, and I seen it kind of duck down, and then I zero in on it. And I'm sitting there looking at it, and I see this face, but it doesn't look right. There's just something about it. Excuse me. And I'm thinking, okay, that's leaves. That's, there's something there. I see a booger sitting there, but the face that's in front of it, I don't know if it was put into my head, but I caught it on camera. So I think it just kind of manipulated the leaves, because the leaves were coming across its face. There was like 3 leaves here, and it looked like a face. It looked like a gray face. But the booger was dark. He's not. It's not that gray face. But his eyes. He had big brown eyes. Big brown eyes. And I'm sitting there, and I'm just holding the camera on him. And the next thing I see is this big flash. It just poof like that. And I was like, hey, don't be zapping me.
Yeah, no, you literally said that. That's on the video. Hey,
But
don't be zapping my camera.
Yeah, I was like, hey, don't zap me. And I didn't feel anything, so I don't know what it was, if EMP or, I didn't know because I didn't feel it. I've been zapped and I feel it. When I get zapped, I feel it.
Yeah, because that's infrasound. This was some physical flash. That's electromagnetic spectrum.
Yes.
That's not infrasound.
It was a big yellow burst of energy or something.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, well, okay, I'll get off of you. Because I didn't know what it was and what it was trying to do, or what I was really looking at. I didn't know. So I got off of him, and I kind of pan over to my left and all, and then I hear a beep. And this is, I'm using my Canon. I had a Canon camera then. And my camera beeps, and I look down at my screen, and my battery light's flashing. It's fixing to go. And I was like, dang, he just drained my battery.
Full 20 minutes ago.
Yeah. I had just charged it. I could film over an hour, and I think I've filmed an hour and a half on one battery out of A4 on that camera.
Yeah.
And 23 minutes or so, and beep, no battery. Kiss your battery goodbye,
And everybody, don't blame Joyce for the stupid name. I'm the one that named him Frank Zapper because I thought it was funny.
It is. That's Frank Zapper.
But we still don't know exactly what it was. We don't know if it was of a little person that was more front, or if it was the Sasquatch behind him. Which one actually did it?
Oh. I hate this camera. I haven't seen the pugwudgies or the little people lately. I don't know where they're at. Hey, don't be zapping me. Alright, I'll get off of you. Oh, my camera won't zoom no more. That's it.
It it seemed to come. What interests me is how they produce it. Does it come from the mouth, or does it come from? Because I do hand signals. I've seen them do hand signals to each other, and I've seen them hold their hands up in. I don't know if they were. I mean, do they have like some type of power that they can manipulate energy with, you know, create it? I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I don't know how they do it. I know they do it. I know they can push energy out. They can push orbs out.
Well,
the
they're
one,
evasive too. Even if you can ask them questions, it's hard to get a straight answer. Because
yeah.
you know, I have a friend that mind speaks to him, and I said, "Hey, ask them sometime how they do their cloaking trick."
You know, the one that when I broke that structure and turned around and he was squatting, he was sitting there at the edge. In the picture, he came out when I came in. I downloaded that. I mean, immediately, because I thought I got him, you know.
Yeah.
And it was just a blob, and I was like, you know, ready to throw my camera up against the wall.
You're like, I was right there. I saw it.
Yeah,
Why is this a blob?
Why
Yeah.
could that camera not pick him up? And but if you notice in the picture that I sent you, I mean, there's like this bluish haze, circles in. It's like an aura.
Mm.
And I don't know if it's they disrupt the air around them with their energy. I don't know how they do it.
Yeah. Well, we do know that their hair, if you got a piece of their hair and you hold it up to something, it takes on the color of whatever you're holding it next to. So that's a natural physical thing. But I think they can do things beyond that. You may be able to put some kind of an energy charge into their, people have seen them stand their hair up on end like a cat. When a cat gets excited, poof, the hair goes up. They can do that too.
I even asked Kevin if Glag had ever ruffled his hair like a cat, because I've seen Boss do it. You know, when he stepped out of that bush, it was like he had stuck his finger in a plug. You know,
all the hair went.
His hair was puffed out like a cat. You know, and that kind of makes them blurry. You know.
Yep.
The way the light goes into their hair and all, it makes them look fuzzy.
Well, look at that. You personally witnessed the dog man going from being colored, normal looking, to all of a sudden turning green like its color in the background that it was standing next to.
Yeah, he just, I don't know if he was fading out or he was just
blending.
Blending in, taking in the color of the foliage. I have seen them look like green. I've seen green ones, you know. I've seen the shimmer. I've seen the dogmen do the shimmer. The dogmen, I don't mess with the dogmen. Even when I'm out filming, if I even think that I'm on a dogman, I'll just keep going, because I don't want any part of the dogman. They make me sick. They drain my energy. I can't explain that, but
Well, interestingly, you're one of several researchers that I know that have not only reported but actually gotten pictures of dogmen hanging around with Bigfoot.
Well,
So apparently, some of them do actually interact with each other.
there's a lot more than just Dogman and Bigfoot.
Yeah, I know.
A lot.
But, you know, everybody mainly centers their attention on the big two, Sasquatch and Dog Dude.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are under the impression that they're mutually exclusive, and that does not seem to be the case. There's some areas where they seem to get along just fine and interact with each other.
And it's hard for me to talk about them because there's so much of that's intertwined, you know, with
Yeah.
that comes with them, and it's hard for me to separate because I've had them put images in my head, so I don't know if I'm looking at an image or if I'm seeing what I think I'm seeing.
Right. You're looking at one thing and they're putting an illusion in your mind to make you see something different.
Right.
I wonder sometimes how often they can pull that trick on people.
Well,
Like,
is it them
you could
doing
be out
it
in the
though?
woods looking right frickin' at them and not see them because they're making
Yeah.
you see an illusion that they're not there.
But is it Bigfoot?
Yeah.
I mean, is it really the Bigfoot doing that?
Yeah, that's the other question. Is it the Sasquatch people doing that, or is it? And there's other things that can shapeshift
Yeah.
and make illusions and mess
Yeah.
with your brain. There's a whole bunch of weird things out there. So that's part of the problem, is being able to vet this stuff and know who is exactly doing this. That's
Yeah.
that's the real problem.
And I really, I'm not a researcher. I'm not a photographer. I'm not a scientist. I'm not any of those things. And I'm not going to chase it. I'm never going to try to figure out exactly what it is, because I feel like I don't need to be messing with what it's not natural,
right.
And it's almost supernatural, and I don't want to fool in that stuff. I don't want to get that involved.
Yeah. No, I totally understand you. And from my standpoint, you're an interactor. You're like D. Sims' Lady in the Woods. Neither one of you are researchers. You're interactors. You've got them around where you live. For some reason, they're interested in you. You go for a walk in the woods, they're following you around. It's not like you're trying to do hard research, get data or anything like that. They just happen to be where you're walking around a lot, and so you can benefit from that. You're really good at getting pictures of them. So,
well, and I did that because I thought I was going crazy. And I wanted to prove to myself, at least, that I was not going crazy. So.
Well, your camera says you're not going crazy because your camera keeps those pictures
I don't
of all
know.
the things you're seeing.
There's people out there that still, I don't care how good a picture you put out there, they're like, you crazy,
Yeah. Same people that watch CNN and believe it. So who cares what they think?
Yeah. But there's some good pictures out there. I know people that have some really good pictures. And, I mean, you can't deny it.
No. No.
And they don't want to be labeled as crazy. And,
No.
and they don't want that to be known as the person that took a picture of a Bigfoot.
Yeah. Well, some of them go a long ways beyond just a picture of a Sasquatch or something. Like William Lunsford. He's got the most close-up picture of a Sasquatch ever. It's the inside of its mouth from inside of its mouth. And it's taking a picture of another booger that's sitting out in the woods watching him trying to eat the camera. You can see its eye shine. Okay, that's a really close-up, William. Good job, dude.
Yeah. They do crazy things, and I kind of miss that. When they're not around, I miss them. In a way, I know that's crazy, but the babies, they're funny and cute, But yeah, them bigger ones, huh?
Yeah, the bigger ones can be scary.
Yeah.
I know when we're camping and they wake me up because they're right next to the tent in the middle of the night. You can tell they're there. You don't have to see them or hear them or anything. You can feel that frickin' giant energy field of them standing right there.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah.
And then they
Oh.
move, and you hear them move, and you're like, yeah, that's what I thought was standing right there.
Yeah, they have an energy, and you can tell which one is which. If you're around them enough, you can tell which one you're with, or where is with you. But I have told you things that I've never told anyone.
A good thing I forget almost everything people tell me right away, so I won't be able to repeat it because people tell me way too many things.
Yeah, I'm sure they do. I'm sure you hear a lot. But
Speaking of that energy field, and you can tell the difference between them, Kevin backed you up on that one. Because when he was up here at Coloma, we had to show up and drop off a bunch of equipment and then go back to the airport and pick up Caveman and bring him and all his equipment up there. So we just took all of it and we threw it in the foundation of one of the old fallen down log houses. And we both had the feeling there was a Sasquatch there watching us. Kevin could feel the energy. I just had the feeling of being observed. So I said, well, we're going to stash our stuff here. Don't let the pack rats or anything get it. I'll be back to see you guys tomorrow. And then we took off. We came back the next day, and once again, Kevin got that feeling of that energy, and he went walking out in the woods to where it was coming from, and Glag was there. And then he realized that was Glag's energy. It's just been 30 years, so I didn't recognize it anymore.
yeah, I recognize, Boss and I have a connection, definitely, and Cleo. I know if Boss is around, and the only thing I can say about Boss is he has an air of magnificent. He's the boss. You just know when you see him.
Oh yeah, when you look at that picture, he's pretty regal.
Very majestic, and he's all business. And if he moves a pinky, he meant to move it. And if he looks at you, don't move. And you know not to move. And that's just the air that he has. He's very majestic and authoritative. And
I look at his picture, and he looked to me like
very scary.
A stern general from a really scary army that you don't want to mess with.
Yeah, that's how I can feel that when he's here.
Well, I'm glad you get along with him. Well, hey, we're like probably about as long as we should try and test people's endurance for watching things that are really...
and there's so much.
And that's so great because we can have you back on the show again, and we can do more shows with you, and we can talk about all your other experiences and show your other tons of video and pictures and stuff that people are just going to love to see. So that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing.
Well, I know I put out pictures, and there's no story there, but it's hard to talk about. Some of it's just really personal, and some of it is stuff I don't want to talk about because it's stuff I don't want to have anything to do with.
Right.
Don't ask me what I've seen. Ask me what haven't I seen.
Yeah, what haven't you seen? Have you seen a mountain giant yet?
No.
Okay, there you go. We got one left to go on your checklist. How about the rake?
I don't want to either.
You seen the raker is boss of the shovel?
I've seen some things that I didn't know that I still don't know what they are.
I don't know what they are. Do you think the little people you got around there actually are puckwudgies, or do they look different? What do they look like?
Some of them are different, and some of them are elementals. They're not they don't look like little people. Yeah. Some look just like little people. I mean, I've got pictures of a little guy with an afro. And then I've got pictures of one that's got kind of long hair with a beard mustache.
Wow.
And they're like a foot tall, Well,
next time we have you back, we'll talk a little bit more about the little people and some of the other, paranormal weird stuff that happened to you, because a bunch of this stuff happened before you ever had any kind of a interaction with a Sasquatch or anything like that. And, you know, I'm sure people would be interested in hearing some of those stories too.
Yeah.
It's just an opportunity for you to actually give some backstory on some of the videos and picture and stuff that you got. That's, you know, normally you don't actually do. So.
Yeah. I don't know. I just, you know, I didn't want to talk about it. But I was like, well, you know, people should know they're out there. I agree with that, the theory. And I'll, you know, put some videos up and pictures up, but I'm, you know, I'm not gonna explain anything because I don't know. I really don't know anything about them. I know there's a line you can't cross with them, and I don't want to cross it. And you know, I don't think they're my buddies.
Yeah,
You know?
I think a lot of people need to be really aware of that. There's a definite line in the sand that humans shouldn't cross.
They have their ways, and we have ours.
Yeah, and there some of them are very curious about us, and they're willing to have like kind of a limited interaction.
Right, they tolerate.
They'll tolerate us,
Yeah.
basically. Some of them even probably kind of like us, some of us. But there's still a line there, and you can't cross it. You got to be very careful and very respectful.
Yeah. Well, they're, you know, we're humans, and they're something else. I don't know what else.
And they're us supersized.
Yeah.
Supersize us. All right, hon. Well, thanks for so much for coming on the show.
Well, thank you, Duke. I appreciate it.
Anything else you wanted to bring up?
No, because there's so much. I might get off on something and go. So.
Oh, we'll definitely have you back again. No problem there. And everybody, I want to encourage you to go check out Joyce's wonderful channel, BAMA BF. That's BAMA capital letters dash BF, also capital letters, which stands for Alabama Bigfoot, but it's shortened, so you guys can find it even easier. BAMA BF. Go check it out. Her channel's awesome. She gets great pictures and stuff, and she puts really nifty music with some of her photo reels too. It's really fun to listen to.
Really bad videos, and I apologize, but I'm trying to get it out there.
Yeah. Well, keeping in mind, folks, she is not a researcher. She just goes out there and walks around, does nature walks, and they're there, and she gets pictures of them. And sometimes weird experiences happen.
Yeah, I get visits.
You get visits. So. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. And for everybody out there in the audience, remember to always be kind to each other, pay it forward. Safety first, last, and always don't poke dog man with a stick. Do not punt the puck, would you? Don't flip off the mountain giant. And whatever you do not hug the Wookiee.
Thanks, dude.